It took them about a week. It took them longer, actually, than I thought that it would. But the New York Times has finally managed to make the Balenciaga child porn story an attack on conservatives. It's hard for them to do that. Obviously very hard, but they're adept at it. I mean, think about how quickly you had that maniac, non-binary member of the LGBT community shoot up a gay nightclub, and that was somehow conservatives' fault. You had all sorts of these stories, and they always managed to turn it on conservatives. This one they were having trouble, though, because Balenciaga is beloved by liberals. The face of Balenciaga is Kim Kardashian, but so many other left-wing celebrities as well. The imagery was so overt. It's exactly the sort of stuff conservatives have been warning about for a long time, that the libs are peddling pedophilia and Satanism. And you just saw it right there on display in the Balenciaga photo shoot. But now that the New York Times headline is not Balenciaga pushes weird kiddie porn stuff, the New York Times headline is When High Fashion and QAnon Collide. Okay, I'm going to put a pause right there. I consider myself pretty with it. You know, I'm pretty involved in conservative politics. I've gone down a lot of rabbit trails. I have read a lot of content on the far right, on the far left. I travel around the country speaking to conservatives everywhere. I still don't know what QAnon is. Do you know what QAnon is? I know it's something to do with elite pedos, which is just true. Obviously, like there's an island, you know, that they all went to, that Jeffrey Epstein owned. But so I know it's something to do with that, but I don't know. The only thing that I've really ever heard about QAnon is from MSNBC and CNN and the New York Times. I am not convinced that anyone actually believes what QAnon is. I'm fairly convinced it's just a fake thing that the New York Times made up to make right-wingers sound crazy. Because as far as I can tell, the right-wingers look around at Jeffrey Epstein's Island, and they look around at the bizarre Balenciaga photo shoot, and they look around at everything in the middle, and they look around at Drag Queen Story Hour, and they look around at Trancing the Kids, and they look around at the child drag shows where the weird men are putting dollars in the clothing of the little kids dancing around. And we look at that and we say, hey, you guys are groomers. You guys are sexualizing children. You guys have a bizarre sexual interest in children, and that's really weird. And you also have a lot of overt satanic imagery there in the drag shows and in the Balenciaga and all. And hey, that's kind of weird and we should stop that. And then the libs, they come around and they say, you probably believe in QAnon. You say, well, I don't know what QAnon is. I definitely believe in all that stuff I just said, though, because I'm looking at it. Because I saw it happen. I'm looking at it right now on the Balenciaga website. They say, oh, you loony, toony, crazy conspiracy theory. You're probably a QAnon. I don't know what QAnon is. But I do know that what I just said is true and is happening. There are court cases about it. It is for sure. There's an island in the Caribbean. It's just a way to paint conservatives as lunatics for observing what they were doing. And so what does the New York Times say? It says 2 new Balenciaga campaigns ignited a firestorm that traveled from the internet to Fox News, fueled by allegations that the brand condoned child exploitation. Those allegations. You know those crazy allegations? After Balenciaga portrayed little kids who looked sad and in distress holding S&M teddy bears, and then in another ad campaign included direct references to child pornography. You know, it's so weird how it fueled all those crazy rumors. What crazy allegations that are obvious and right before our very eyes. Yeah, if you saw Balenciaga's child porn campaign, if you have noticed Drag Queen Story Hour, if you notice that these weirdos are going in and having little kids dress up in sexual costumes and dance around at gay bars, yeah, you're just an internet troll with crazy allegations, according to the New York Times. Then the New York Times writes, as online criticism of the campaign spread, the story was picked up across right-wing media outlets, including the New York Post and primetime Fox News show Tucker Carlson Tonight. The show helped to publicize and mainstream QAnon. whatever that is. The internet conspiracy theory that a group of Satan-worshipping elites who run a child sex ring are trying to control our politics and media. Oh, that's what QAnon is? Okay, well, if that's what QAnon is, then it's just obviously true. Okay, because I haven't seen the whole Jeffrey Epstein client book because the US government's covering it up, and the US government is not holding any of those pedophiles to account. And the US government gave a sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein himself before he got Epstein. They gave him a really sweetheart deal, and they let him live in what was essentially a condo in Palm Beach, though they called it a local jail. And when the U.S. attorney, Alex Acosta, asked about it, he was told, don't touch Jeffrey Epstein. He belongs to intelligence. And I know that he was palling around with the most elite, prominent, wealthy people all over the world, and they were trafficking very, very young girls to have sex with. I know that for sure. So what's the part that isn't real? Because I'm just talking about the one aspect of what you're telling me QAnon. You're telling me that's what QAnon is. Well, if that's what QAnon is, I have seen that reported in the New York Times. Okay, because even the New York Times eventually had to report on the Jeffrey Epstein story. I've seen the evidence for that, and I'm still seeing the cover-up of that, and I'm still seeing weird child sex stuff all around the culture that you guys are promoting, that the New York Times is promoting in schools, in these drag shows, in libraries. And I'm still seeing a defense of the completely indefensible Balenciaga campaign. What's so amazing is the libs haven't gotten their messaging straight on this, because the New York Times argument here is, this Balenciaga thing is a total non-traversy, crazy conspiracy theory being pushed by Tucker Carlson, and it's nothing, and it's wild, but what did Balenciaga say? Balenciaga said, this is completely unacceptable. We're so sorry. Balenciaga wiped its Instagram account except for the apology. Balenciaga said that it is pursuing legal action against the people who put the photo shoot together. So which is it? No big deal, nothing burger, nothing to see here, says the New York Times. This is extremely serious. We're going to wipe out all of our branding away. We're going to get rid of this photo shoot, and we're going to sue people into oblivion for doing it. Which is it? Obviously, it's the latter. The very fact that the New York Times keeps covering up for this, well, it's not going to dispel any conspiracy theories. Let's just put it that way.